Good morning, everybody. It is your buddy Choppadong, and we're back with a version of Chop Talk. We're going to ditch the tours for a little bit. We're going to dive into a little bit of the research station and show you a little bit of a process in hopefully a 10 or 15 minute quick snip of how to get your baseball research started today using the DFS Army Research Station. If you don't know me, I'm Choppadong out on Twitter. You can find all of the tour videos right here. You can also find the article, the full count, I guess we call it right now, out on Twitter as well. I would love it if you gave me a follow, gave me a retweet, whatever. I'd enter you in April sweeps. We've got a couple of days left where I might buy your membership into DFSArmy.com for the month of April. To do so, sign up using the link down below. Click that DFSArmy.com link, use the coupon code CHOP, C-H-O-P, or opening day, one word. Both trigger 20% off discounts. The opening day coupon will be going away fairly soon. The CHOP coupon may change. I don't know. So lock that 20% in, really quickly before these things change on you. And let's get to learning some baseball. So let's dive in. What I want to show you first is where to find the full count on the MLB tab or on the main page at DFSArmy.com. You open that article up, and it is a game-by-game breakdown of the slate for March 29th, for today, for Friday. Everything starts with a consistent process, and this is what I'm going to start trying to teach you guys through these videos. We look at the overall pitcher or scenario, and what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and identify, obviously their salaries, but their Vegas odds, K-score, which is to me a high upside strikeout type matchup rating, DFSA grade, which is an overall matchup rating, and then of course who their opponent is. And this helps me monitor a little bit of ballpark factors, maybe how soft or how tough that lineup might be coming into this pitcher, and I can kind of get an idea of what I'm looking for. I'm going to tie all these three things together. If you know me, I'm kind of a box checker, if you will, and I'm trying to just okay, he's good on the road. He has a low whip. He has a low Sierra. He has high strikeout upside. As I go checking off boxes of what makes a good pitcher, this, then I start getting to where I can compare these guys apples to apples. When I look at a Robbie Ray, he's first on the list because he has the highest K-score, 548. Over 500 is great. Okay, and when I look at Robbie Ray, his salary on FanDuel is very, very low. It's very intriguing. Yes, I know he's going up against the Dodgers. Yes, with 8 home runs yesterday, that bothers me a little bit. But I went and looked at BVP numbers, and the Dodgers don't necessarily have a history against Robbie Ray of destruction. So yeah, they can do it, but they haven't really yet in their divisional opponent, so they do see each other quite a bit. So I don't mind taking some shots on Robbie Ray, and especially at this price compared to the other prices. $9,300 for Flaherty, $7,900 for Peralta is obviously something that I would debate, but why would I pay $11,300 for Garrett Cole? Yes, I get better odds because Robbie Ray is the underdog. I get a minus 145 here, but I get a lower K-score. Garrett Cole supposedly does not have the high upside of strikeouts that Robbie Ray has, indicated by the score metric. He does have a better overall matchup grade, though. These are things to consider, but is it worth $3,000? I don't know. I can fit in an awful lot of bats for $3,000. So for me, I'm going to put most of my lineups probably in Robbie Ray's hands on FanDuel today. Now, when I look at Stripling, same price. I get better odds, so that's a good thing. I get a lower K-score and a lower rating. So to me, Robbie Ray is the better pitcher for upside. Now, Stripling may be the safer indicated by Vegas odds. So maybe we'll go one, in some lineups and the other in other lineups, and we'll ping pong them back and forth that way. But Lucchesi, not quite so much, drops off a little bit more. And German Marquez with a $9,800 price tag and a 477 K score. Yeah, he's the favorite. But again, why would I pay $1,500 more for less? To me, that doesn't make much sense. Over on the DK side, when I'm looking for two different pitchers, I like the idea of Jack Flaherty over there at 9K. I might like a Lucchesi over there because at least I get, the price starts to matter now. When I'm here in a lot of these 520, 506s, 98, 100, 85, these are all kind of close, and that $1,000 is going to make a difference to me, especially when I have to take two pitchers, and every other quality pitcher is up in the 9K range. So Lucchesi is going to be important to me over there. Now, he might get blown up. I would have been on Greinke yesterday. I got locked out of the slate before I could get lineups in there. I would have got locked out of Greinke, and it saved my ass. So I mean, shit happens in MLB. It's just what's going to happen. But generally speaking, over the course of a month or a year, these types of indicators are going to do you more harm or more good than harm, I guess I should say. Now, I'm also going to look in our research station and find out who we're going to target against, and I'm going to sort, some numbers by Sierra. I'm going to reverse the DFSA grade, and I'm going to flip it on its head and show the low numbers up top, and then I know I can stack against Marco Estrada, Matt Harvey, Derek Holland, etc. And I mentioned that in the article. K-score and W-score, we might go into those a little bit. K-score you just saw, but we might go into those another time. And then, of course, game-by-game breakdown with some players and whatnot. So let's dive into the research station itself and show you what we're looking at. Okay, because this is partly how we're going to kind of go through things. And what I want to focus on today is maybe finding pitchers. So let's do the W-score thing. We'll scroll all the way over here to the Chop Shop section, K-score and W-score. W-score is going to be WOBA and ISO combined together and averaged, taken into account for what the hitter does and what the pitcher allows to that handedness of bat. So it's a lot of splits and a lot of matchups taken into account. If you don't know WOBA is all hits are not created equal. A home run is worth more than a single, but getting on base helps. So it helps your WOBA. It just doesn't help it as much as a home run does. So we've got some power infused into that. It's a not out making statistic, meaning the more a guy reaches base, the higher his WOBA is going to go, but the more he does it with some pop, it's going to go even higher. It's not a linear metric necessarily. Now, ISO is just straight power. ISO is linear. Singles, doubles, triples, home runs, everything juices your ISO even more. It doesn't give you any credit for walks or any of that kind of stuff. It's just straight when you put the ball in play, kind of almost how far does it travel? How hard are you hitting it? It's a power number. Guys that have good ISOs typically don't have great on-base percentages or WOBAs. And so what I'm looking for is a guy who can blend both. If a guy has a really, really high ISO, it's going to boost his W score. It's going to make him a viable bat because even though he doesn't get on base maybe as often, he's doing it with a lot of authority. And that leads to fantasy points. And vice versa. If a guy gets on base a lot, like an Ichiro type, or a D Gordon type, or even a Joey Votto type. Joey Votto's a great W-score guy, but he favors on base percentage as a statistic. He strives to not make outs, and we love that in our cash games for DFS MLB. However, with a really, really high OBP or on base percentage, it's going to help his WOBA, which means it's going to help his W score. But he can get by with a really, really high WOBA or a really, really high on-base percentage. He can get by with a little bit lower ISO. So it kind of becomes a sliding scale. If you can visualize that, where one side goes up, the other side can afford to come down a little bit, and you're still going to get a great average between the two. So we're going to take those two metrics, and we're going to look at how is that going to matter for the pitcher we're facing today based on what the pitcher gives up? Because some pitchers give up a very high ISO to right-handed bats, but not to lefties. This number factors that in. They give up very high WOBAs, a lot of base hits. They'll have a low whip, which is walks and hits plus innings pitched. They'll have a low whip, and that'll factor into the WOBA allowed, which will factor into the hitter's W score. So what we've done is we've created this all-encompassing metric, sort of like a big matchup rating that focuses on how often you get on base, how powerfully you get on base, and how much the pitcher allows you to get on base and how powerfully he allows it. Combine those four factors together, you get a W score where elite is over 600. I'd like to see shorter samples as the season goes on. We'll work on that, but right now, because we're so early in the season, we're looking at last year's numbers. We might even be looking at the last 2 years of numbers, but it's a big baseline of steady stats. That's why Mike Trout's up there. Shohei Ohtani's up there, but he's on a very, very short sample size. Hunter Renfroe, Matt Carpenter, J.D. Martinez. Matt Carpenter, why? Carries a high on-base percentage and hits for some doubles and some home runs, hits for some power. So what you're seeing is guys with combinations of getting on base. And so these are your cash plus GPP winning bats most times. And this number is going to jump a little bit when the opposing pitcher also is weak. Why is Carpenter up there? Freddie Peralta has weaker splits versus lefties than he does righties. So you're not going to see a lot of Cardinals righties on this list up here, up high today, but you're going to see names like Dexter Fowler creeping up here a little bit because he's a lefty. You might see a Colton Wong up there if he got on base more often as well, but it'd be higher. If he hit for more power, his ISO would be higher. But right now, Colton Wong's a streaky player, and he's lefty, so I would be playing him today against Freddie Peralta. Mike Trout's always going to be in a good position. JD Martinez oftentimes going to be in a good position, especially, Manny Machado, whatever, when they face the correct-handedness that also gives up a lot. So I'm going to use this metric an awful lot, and that's where I'm going to start today. The K-score for a hitter, you want it to be low. For a pitcher, you want it to be high. For the hitter, you want it to be low. So I could also, I don't know what this is going to do, but if I sorted it by ascending and brought the low numbers to the top, Andrelton Simmons should hit the ball today. He shouldn't strike out a lot. If he's putting the ball in play, good things can happen. Pujols, Uriel Suzuki, there's Ichiro. Hosmer out there in San Diego. Lucroy, Altuve has a low number, and he's got an okay K-score. A W score over, say, 550 starts getting me excited. A 500, yeah, it's okay. Altuve, if we scroll over here to the left, is facing Charlie Morton. And Charlie Morton has some good things going for him, and he doesn't have a lot of weaknesses. Now, he's not an elite pitcher that we should be necessarily afraid to play bats against, but he's definitely not a soft pitcher that we're going to go nuts targeting. You're going to wind up seeing guys like Marco Estrada here who don't strike out a lot of people, and then you're going to see the bats that don't strike out a lot in conjunction with that, and that's what's going to yield the lower K-score, which tells us for cash games. And this is a brand new way to use this metric, but this tells us for cash games maybe we should be focused on some of these guys because they're going to be making contact. They're probably going to be getting on base a little bit. They may not be doing it with a ton of power, but they should be doing it with, they should have a floor today. Okay, but if I go back over here to the W score, and let's say I sort by descending, I can also, and this is something we don't do much when we use this tool that we should. I do this all the time. I don't think a lot of other people do. I filter this thing out. If I wanted just greater than the 500 number, let's make it 499 so it includes the 500. Sorry, 499s, you just got cut. You were close, but you just got cut. And we scroll down, and now we've got ourselves a player pool started. It's a big player pool, but it's going to include some of our stacks. And let's say we want to come over here. Now that I've got that cut down, we're pretty much just the better matchups on the slate. The trash has just been flushed, okay? And let's say I wanted to target the offenses of Boston, and let's say I wanted to add in some of the ones that I'm really on today, which would be Oakland, LA, San Diego, maybe Colorado on the road, and let's go ahead and toss St. Louis in there for shits and giggles. When I load these guys up, I should have put Toronto in there too. But if you read the article, you know who I'm on. Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani, if Ohtani hits the lineup, Renfroe. Mike Trout and Renfroe are going, I'm going to try and put them in my lineups. Carpenter, JD Martinez, Machado. These guys are all in good matchups. I won't be able to afford them all. Oh, I want some punts? Let me see if I can find anybody in here. Let's filter this out a little bit further. Less than, say, 3,500 on FanDuel. And watch this. Poof. There's all my guys with over a 500 W score and under a 35. How important is Renfroe going to be today at 2,900 with that monster W score in a good matchup facing a soft pitcher in Derek Holland with good splits in his favor? And I just found that for you in what, 5 minutes? I'm not going to say he's a lock, but you're going to see why, San Diego Padres bats are going to be in a good spot. There's 1, 2, 3 of them in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 3 of the top 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 4 of the top 12. 4 of your top 12 matchups at over a 500 W score and under $3,500 in salary. So cheap stacks. Renfroe, Myers. Well, I just lost my place. Kinsler. Geez, Kinsler's on the list. Kinsler's a cash-safe bat usually, and he leads off. And Manuel Margot. So if I go into a starting lineups page, I can see that I've got a couple in the meat, and I've got a couple at the top and one down at the bottom. It's a pretty good all-encompassing stack. I might include 3 of the 4 guys and run out a cheaper stack, and then start formulating a bunch of others. Now you can see why when you get to the end of my article, why I'm touting the San Diego Padres today. I think they're in a great spot. Let's see if it pans out. Let's see if it works out. I just showed you the logic behind it. I just showed you quickly one way to sort through a player pool using the WScore and the K-score metrics here in DFSArmy.com's research station, and we don't need to worry about all this other gobbledygook. What we'll talk about probably next time, we'll do a little bit more with the DFSA grids and the player types, but if this works out today, I'll probably stick with it for quite a while. I love the fact that we can filter off for the cheaper players, and we just found ourselves a cheaper stack that we can build around and start plugging in the Bostons and the Colorados and the, some of the St. Louis's and maybe some of the more expensive, like maybe I get Mike Trout in this lineup with these guys today in the huge matchup he has. And this will allow me to do just that, as well as roster some decent pitching like a Robbie Ray or a Ross Stripling, and probably get a good combination of good pitching upside, good bats in good spots. And that's all we can do. That's all we can hope for. Find players in good spots and hope they execute. That is DFS MLB in a nutshell. If you like what you're seeing, click the like, click the subscribe, click the notification bell, get access to all of the videos that I dropped. It's been about 15 minutes. I'm going to run the heck out of here and go talk to my guys inside the coaching forums, and we're going to talk baseball off and on all day long, and I'm going to show them little tips like this and tricks like this, just like I showed you, and we're going to put you on a path to building better lineups with the sophisticated tools that we have inside DFSArmy.com. Use that coupon code CHOP or opening day and get your butt in here today and start building better lineups. Let's see you at the top of the leaderboards.